My fingernails all turned black and actually came off. Yes, I know it's disgusting. RSVP with Lori, your Soft Life ambassador. Join me if you truly enjoy life. Please be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. Right, y'all, today's video is one that is deeply personal to me. I am going to be discussing life lessons as a breast cancer survivor. I know it's not October and it's not Breast Cancer Awareness Month. However, I will be updating videos at least monthly regarding breast cancer awareness. We are beyond October, and I want everyone to know that, especially all of my beautiful Black women. Now, I'm going to be discussing life lessons, the struggles, and everything that I have overcome and being cured from breast cancer. Now, if you have experienced this journey or know someone that has, are not alone, please feel free to comment, email me if you have any questions. I definitely will respond. You know, your thoughts or your words will not be in vain. Those of you that are still in the fight, all my pink sisters, I am with you. I'm holding true to you. I'm giving you a virtual hug. And if there are any things that you think I'm missing, any information that you think I'm missing, please be sure to comment below. I will not take offense to it at all. All right, I got my notes, so if you see me looking down, it's just so I can stay on track here, because you know this is a difficult subject and I don't want to just ramble and forget my talking points that I do want to make sure that I convey to you guys. Now, number one, this is a legacy. Breast cancer is a legacy in my family. It's a family tradition, in other words. Okay, breast cancer didn't just happen to me. It has happened for many generations in my family. My mother, my mother's mother, and my mother's mother's sister, which is my great aunt, all were diagnosed and died before the age of 60 from breast cancer. All the same type of breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer. And of course, as you can imagine, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, honestly, I really anticipated it. I thought every single day that breast cancer would appear on that mammogram, would appear on that screening every single time I got a mammogram. In fact, I was so paranoid when my mother died in 2013 that I got a mammogram every 6 months. And as many of you know, if you have a family history of mammograms, you are allowed a mammogram yearly with your insurance. Well, I paid out of pocket because I was just that paranoid. I was just that anxious, had so much anxiety that I would think to myself, oh my goodness, what if I get cancer the day after my mammogram? Now I'm going to have to wait a whole year before they know that I have breast cancer. Like, that's the type of mindset I was. I'm not recommending that to anyone. I'm sharing my journey. Losing my mother to the disease was devastating. I was there for her every moment, every single day. I watched her. She was diagnosed in September of 2012 and died in February of 2013. So it was very quick. She was diagnosed as stage 4 breast cancer. I always say this, but I honestly felt like she knew she had breast cancer and did not want to share it with the family, did not want to go through chemotherapy and things like that, because she did not seem really surprised when the doctor told her. She was having back problems. She kept having back spasms, and we went to the emergency room, and when they did an x-ray, the cancer had spread all through her body. It was on her bones. It was, what did they call it? Metastatic, whatever it was. I'm sorry, I will look up the word prior to posting this video, but it has spread all through her body. It was everywhere pretty much. Now, they did do chemotherapy to try to slow the rate down that it was advancing. However, it did not work very well, as you can tell by the time frame that she passed. Please excuse me. I'm not going to keep recording this video, and it's a very difficult video for me. It's not going to be perfect, and I'm stumbling over my words, but give me some grace. Give me some grace with this video, please, because I've already recorded this video like 4 times, and I'm not going to try to be perfect. I just want to get the information out there. I will try to edit as much as I can, but this is raw, this is real, this is uncut. So I knew the pattern, I knew the statistics. I did find the lump on my breast on my own doing my self-exams, which I did nightly in the shower. Ladies, I cannot stress enough how important it is to do your self-exams. Not just do it, for the sake of doing it. Get to know your breast so that you can know when something is out of place, when you feel that feels kind of odd, or that wasn't there last week. you're able to recognize that. I was able to recognize that I usually get my mammograms in May, which is my birth month. And I pushed my mammogram up because, again, I thought I felt something in my self exam, and I was correct. I went and had my mammogram. They called me back, which they usually do. So I really wasn't too alarmed because they usually call me back to have a 3D reading because I have dense breasts. So I had my 3D reading. While I was at my 3D reading, they called the radiologist while I was there for her to read my 3D reading and sent me to have a biopsy. She saw four different lumps, or I'm not going to say lumps. She saw four different areas in my breast that she wanted tested. So that was my next plan of action. They do not diagnose you during a mammogram. So that was the next step. They cannot diagnose you with cancer until you've had a biopsy, unless it's a very advanced stage. So I went to have my biopsy, and ladies, let me just tell you, that is the most painful experience with technology and medicine in today's times. I would really think that they could find a better way to do this. Like, I think if you have to have more than one area biopsy, you really need to be put to sleep. It was extremely painful. And I've had 3 children, natural birth with no medication. It was very painful. So I had the biopsy, and I want to say radiologist. I apologize if I'm getting the name of the doctors wrong. I really apologize. But the doctor that is there conducting the biopsy, she said, Lori, I'm just going to be honest with you. 2 of these areas really look like it could be cancer. And I just want to prepare you that I'm almost certain at least 2 of these areas are cancer. I had prepared myself. I had already told myself. I was talking with my sister back and forth. I'm like, I really do think I have cancer. So anyway, you get the biopsy, and it takes a few days, of course. And the results, those of you that may have had the biopsy in the last few years, the results, they go to your my chart first. They go to your my chart immediately. The lab sends it right to your my chart. Of course, we're not doctors and we don't know how to read the results, but she told me, hey, if you get the results, if you see the results come over in your my chart, call the office so that we can talk you through it. Okay, fine. Of course, my results came in on a Friday. The doctor's office was closed. I'm so anxious. I have so much anxiety. I'm trying to see, do I have breast cancer? And I was on the phone with my sister back and forth, like, oh, I'm trying to read it. I'm like, I think I have cancer. I think this is what they're saying, I have cancer. So I really was so anxious that I had an idea. I called telehealth for the doctor to read me the results. And it wasn't my doctor. It was just a random doctor off telehealth. I'm like, I need you to read me these results because I just really cannot go all weekend and not know these results. I had the doctor to read the results. He apologized. I probably ruined his day, I'm sure, having to tell me this. He's just a telehealth doctor trying to diagnose colds and allergies. But yeah, he did tell me, yes, you do have breast cancer. With these results, it doesn't tell you what stage, it doesn't tell you what type or anything, but you definitely do have breast cancer. That was the most devastating day of my life. I'm gonna say that was March 31st, 2013. Excuse me, March 31st, 2023. And like I said, my mom died in 2013. So 10 years later, I am diagnosed at the age of 51 with breast cancer. I'm thinking, am I next? No, I gotta stop this. I have to beat this. I gotta kick cancer's ass. Like that's my mindset. I gotta do this. However, seeing my mother and the way her body responded to all of the treatments, I definitely was afraid. Definitely was very scared. And another thing I want to share with you ladies, after I was diagnosed, I did get the genetic testing to see if I had the trait for breast cancer, which I didn't. And my mother also had the testing done, which she didn't test for the trait either. So it can be genetic without having that genetic trait. I just want to let you guys know, even if you don't have the trait, you can get breast cancer. So I'm not saying the test is useless because, of course, those that test positive for the trait, you have a more likely chance to get breast cancer. But I didn't have the trait. My mother didn't have the trait, but we both were diagnosed with breast cancer. Just with this story I'm sharing, I want all of you Black women to know, please advocate for yourself. please advocate for early testing. Please advocate for early mammograms. If you have to say, yeah, it seems like I felt something in my self exam, I need a mammogram. Whatever it takes, please advocate for yourselves. Don't let your doctors push you to the wayside and it can wait, because a lot of my doctors tried to get me to wait weeks or months for appointments, and I just didn't stand for it. If I needed to change doctors, if I needed to go to a different hospital, I did. I needed to get this done, and I wanted it done swiftly. I needed a plan of action so that I can share with my family what was going on, because I didn't want to alarm anyone. Even when I got the test results from my mammogram, I didn't want to say I might have cancer. I told my sister and I told my husband, but of my children and the rest of my family, I wanted to be able to say, yes, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. This is the plan of action. This is what my doctors plan to do. I wanted to be able to at least say that before I shared the information. So getting those doctor's appointments were quickly, swiftly, was very important to me. Okay, so like I said, some of these I'm gonna make sure I read my notes so that I'm correct in what I wrote and how I remember things. I just want to make sure that I'm correct. So let me fight this as aggressively as I can with this treatment, so that number one, I can get rid of it as fast as I can, and two, narrow down the choices of it returning. So when I tell you the steps that I took for my journey for breast cancer, these are the reasons why. I chose the strongest chemo available, even though I feel like it has wrecked my body completely. I chose a double mastectomy, even though it meant losing a part of myself. I chose reconstruction, not to, but really just to try to reclaim some sense of who I was. I made these choices because I wanted to live. I wanted to be the first woman in my family to survive this. You know what? Actually, I think my aunt beat breast cancer. My other aunt. I'm not really. I can't be exact, but my other great aunt, excuse me, I believe she did as well. I wanted to just prove to myself that early detection is the key. Early detection does save lives. Not only the early detection, but acting on that diagnosis and getting the treatment that you need. Every time I look in the mirror and I see all the scars that I have, and I get down on myself, remember that my grandmother didn't make it, my great aunt didn't make it, and I just got to take these battle wounds. I have at least 9 or 10 different scars that are on my body that are constant reminder of what I had to go through. But I'm sharing this story, even with my cracking voice. I'm sharing this story so that another woman can see this and know you can fight this disease. You can smile again. I promise I'm smiling. It's just difficult telling the story. So you can fight this disease and you can win. Okay, so now I got a lot of medical terms. I will be reading my notes. Not all breast cancers are the same. Mine was triple negative, which means it lacks 3 receptors: estrogen, progesterone, and HER2, that most breast cancers rely on for growth. That makes it more aggressive and harder to treat, because most hormone therapies will not work for triple negative breast cancer. I didn't receive any hormone treatments. Triple negative breast cancer tends to affect Black women more often, and it grows faster and spreads quicker than any other types. So when the doctor told me the plan, it wasn't just about treating it, it was about hitting it hard and fast. Just I needed to get this out of my body. That was my only mindset. So my first step, I did see a surgical oncologist, and that is the oncologist that will perform your lumpectomy or mastectomy, any surgeries that you will have with the removal of the cancer. I went and spoke to her, which I did have a woman oncologist, surgical oncologist, and my regular oncologist were both women. And talk to the surgeon. She lets you know what the steps will be. The oncologist lets you know what the chemotherapy treatments will look like. I had to undergo 4 months of chemotherapy for 16 weeks, rounds of chemotherapy for a total of 16 weeks. And the first round of chemo, let me back up. Okay, let's talk about chemotherapy, because this part was brutal. I'm not gonna lie. I was not even honest with my family about how brutal chemotherapy was for me. Because I already felt like a burden, and it was very hard on my body, very difficult. The after effects after the chemo, I even told my husband, like, oh, you can't come in because I didn't want him to see me going through the things that I had to go through. I didn't want him to look at me like that. So I wouldn't even have him come in when he came to my visits with me. And you do have to come have someone to come to drive you home from your visits because the chemotherapy, the type of chemotherapy that I got was so strong. Again, y'all, please excuse my voice. I promise I'm not sad. It's just a little difficult telling this story. Okay, so the first 4 rounds of chemotherapy included a drug known as the Red Devil. That is what they called it. My favorite nurse and my friend now, Pat, told me I don't want to hear you saying that. I don't know why they gave it that nickname, but don't call it that. We're not gonna claim that at all. But that is the nickname that most people have given it. It is a medicine called doxorubicin. The Red Devil is the nickname, one of the most potent chemotherapy drugs, and trust me, it earns its name. And I'm not kidding, it does. Why is it called the Red Devil? It's red, bright red, like blood. It's extremely toxic. It just doesn't kill cancer cells. It can even damage your heart. The drugs that you receive in chemotherapy doesn't know to just attack cancer cells. So it attacks all of the cells in your body, and you just have to try to be strong enough that your normal cells can combat the medicine, if that makes sense. There's no way for the medicine to know, okay, this is a cancer cell, this is not. Let me kill this cell, but not that one. It's killing a lot of cells in your body and hopefully enough cancer cells that it will get rid of the cancer. So it can also even damage your heart. This drug has to go in intravenous. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I had a port in my chest, and the chemotherapy would go through there. Or you have to get an IV in your arm, which is still very, very dangerous. I know quite a few ladies that didn't want the port for vanity reasons. They didn't want the scar, which it's not a terrible scar. If you guys can see right here, that's my scar from my port. Not terrible at all, but some ladies, for whatever reason, I'm not going to say just vanity. I know some ladies, it was for vanity reasons. They didn't want the scar on their chest, and they were younger ladies. I mean, everyone has their own choices, and got the IV got the chemotherapy administered in the IV, and the IV burst, and they have scar tissue down their arm. One young lady can't even bend her arm anymore, and that's just how powerful this Red Devil drug is. It's just that powerful. So be cautious of that. A lot of side effects, vicious side effects: nausea, body aches, mouth sores, extreme fatigue, and of course, complete hair loss. I still have extreme fatigue. Like, I have to take a nap during the day. I get tired so fast, and I'm taking my vitamins and I'm building my body up. But one thing, I don't think people are aware of, even after excuse me, even after your scans and you're told, okay, your cancer is in remission, like my oncologist told me, it will take 3 to 5 years for your body to get rid of the chemotherapy medicines that have been administered into your body. It'll take 3 to 5 years for you to even start feeling normal. That's another thing you got to keep in mind. So I have a lot of body aches. I still have let me finish this chemotherapy. I'm gonna talk about some of my other side effects that have affected my life. But yeah, it burns when it goes in. They have to administer it very slowly. The nurse has to watch it go in for a certain number of minutes. I don't remember how many minutes, but they have to stay in the room and watch it and make sure it's going in okay. Because again, if that gets into your skin or your blood, is going to make some damage. It's gonna do some damage. If it leaks into your tissue, it's gonna be scar tissue. Like I was telling you, the young lady that I know, she can't even bend her arm. Her arms has to stay like this because it's so much scar tissue, and they can't fix it. They can't fix it at all. So yeah, I remember watching that red liquid go into my veins, knowing it was poisoning my body to save my life. So just take that into consideration. We are administering poison to save my life. How ironic. How ironic. But yeah, lots of bone pain. I had a lot of bone pain. And they also give you it's like a little thing that sticks on your skin. It was like right on my arm. That helped. I forgot the medicine. I'm gonna have to try to remember, look on my chart or something. There's a medicine that they administer on your arm, and it stays on your arm for about 24 hours, and that helps with the bone pain, or should help with the bone pain. People that have HIV or AIDS, they take that medicine. A lot of people that have illnesses where it weakens your bones, they take that medicine as well. You'll see it's like a patch, and it's little sticky needles, and it sticks in your skin and it stays on, and it administers the medicine itself for over a 24-hour period. Okay, the rest of my chemo treatments, after 4 rounds of the Red Devil, I switched to another chemo drug called Taxol for the next 4 weeks. Excuse me, 4 rounds, because I went every other week. So it's 4 rounds. Taxol was a different kind of beast. It caused neuropathy, which is numbness and tingling in my hands and my feet. Did use ice packs during my chemotherapy treatments to try to prevent the neuropathy, but unfortunately I did get neuropathy, and I still have neuropathy. It is on the tips of my fingers and the tips of my toes, but actually came off. So again, it's just the gift that keeps on giving. You just gonna have problem after problem after problem. I think just my toenails, only my big toe, I think my little toenail came off, but only my big toe turned completely black, and it's pretty much grown out. Only one of my fingers is not completely grown out, so the rest of them are grown out. These are press on nails, so I have them covered, but I had to get dark nail polish over them because they were just, I mean, when I say black, I mean completely black. So that's just how strong the medicine is, y'all. By the second round, my hair was coming out in clumps, and I shaved my head before chemotherapy because I would rather just be completely bald than watch my hair come out in clumps. But it was coming out in clumps as I brushed it. It was just clumps. I might still have a photo of that I had sent to my sister.